Hello, hello, and welcome. I'm so grateful that you are here with me today. Hello, ladies, and everyone else. I'm so excited to share the content that we have with you today and really help you with your social media content strategy and calendar and all the things. You are here in how to stand out in social media and stay there. One of the biggest challenges I continuously hear from our people is they don't know what to post on social media, they don't know when to post it, they don't have the time to post for social media, and it just becomes this big crazy mess of just chaos. One of the things that I provide in my business here at Lady B, which is a lovely brand supporting women in business, is to help start social media plans, get the strategy set, get the calendar set, get them creating content on a regular basis and consistent basis, and then executing that content. And then eventually, because I don't want to do it forever all the time, I turn the baton and reins over to the client to take that on and run with that. So we're going to talk all about that process today and how that can work for you and your business without having me come in. Small investment to have me train you on this, and then you can go ahead and do that for yourself. Are you ready? I hope you are. So today we're going to go over a couple of things, actually 3 things to be exact, and I have 3 assets for you to follow along with. So the first one is the where are we at, or where's your business at asset. That is just a graphic. There's no like to do with that. But what I want you to do is keep it out and keep it handy. We're going to draw it up here and kind of walk through that a little bit and talk through what I mean by some of those different things and share, kind of just get real raw and honest with yourself. Where are you at in your business when it comes to social media? The second asset we're going to talk through is the Be Social pillars. That is where we're going to really dive into what content is relevant and do you want to share on social media to your audience. Reminder, social media is all about connection and relationship and bringing them closer to you, to make them feel something, to make them just know that you're there to support them and help them and be there for them in whatever that facet is, whatever industry is. So that is a really great aha tool that we walk through. It's really funny. I've done this in person for several years, but then I actually put it together more formally recently, and we've done it at conferences and we've done it at speaking engagements, and it is insane. I love hearing every single one so far. Someone has come up to me after and been like, whoa, like I didn't realize that it really wasn't that hard. But when you put it on paper like that and you organize it on paper like that, it just becomes just like, oh yeah, like this is okay. I can do this. It doesn't, you learn it doesn't take a ton of time. It does take some organization, however. So that's, once we have that content together, then we're going to bring it over and I'm going to draw it up here as best I can. It won't be most ideal, but you have a tool as well, or a free social media calendar. And basically that is where you would take all that information, all that great content, organize it and put it into an actual social media plan that you can execute on a daily basis. And the great thing too is that you can build that plan development into your weekly workflow. So you're never going to have or miss a post. You're never going to have downtime. You're always going to be able to recover and recreate content that you can be able to like sustain over time. So it's going to be a really, really great tool. This whole process is to be easy for you, sustainable, but then also helps to bring those who love you, who your followers, your audience, closer to you and help you actually build your audience. When you can do that, no algorithm change can come to you, can touch you, because you already built content or an audience that loves you. And it comes down to how often your content is served up to your audience and how frequently they engage with your content. So if you're developing content you know they love and like, and they engage with it, then you're good, right? You're so good. So stick with me here. We're going to do a little fast and furious, but I promise you, you've got this video for the end of time and you've got those assets as well to use and you can reuse those. We'll talk through the Be Social pillars. I would do that exercise maybe twice a year just to make sure it's on brand, especially if you're new to your business, because things change. I know my business early on, we changed a ton of things in the first 2 or 3 years. So that's one of the things we can do. But first, we're going to just jump right in here and get started with where's your business at? So I'm going to turn my chair quick and hopefully not shake my desk. Maybe. All right, cool. All right. And So where are we at? All right, make sure. Okay, so this is the pyramid. I'm gonna redo that because honestly, that's not a very good one. And maybe I'll just start all over. I said hello, so you don't need to see that, right? Okay, so let's do more. That way we can see it better. Okay, so we've got these 4 areas, right? So our first part of our pillar or inverted pyramid is awareness. And this is way prettier in the graphic that you have in your assets. But awareness, all right, is where we start. And then we go to consideration. Then we walk our people down to conversion. This is with our content that they see on social. And then here is retention. So here's where we're going to start. A lot of the clients and people that I speak to on a regular daily basis, when they want to run some social ads or they want to post on social, all their content is around that goal, conversion. So the writing to sell, and they only post on social media when they're trying to push a product or push a sale or a promo or a coupon or whatever that is, whatever their business is running right there. And they haven't done squat in these 2 other areas. So only time their audience sees anything from them is when they're trying to sell to them. I'm going to ask you, how do you think that makes your audience feel? That's even if they see it, first of all. An ad is a little bit unique, but this is just, we're actually not talking Facebook ads today, we're talking just pure content on a social page. So there's no money behind that. The conversion is where they go. And this is not a good thing on social media. When you're only posting your posts when you're trying to sell something or promote something, it's going to turn your customer off, or your potential audience or potential client off. So what we need to really focus our energy on for today's purposes is up to awareness, all right? So I truly believe that all of us can constantly be working on awareness, because I don't know about you, but not everyone in the world knows about my business. So I'm going to always be on awareness. Always. If you're like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or any of these big brands that had Target, Walmart, that have been around forever and have these massive, everyone knows about them. All right, maybe you're already at consideration. Maybe you can start there. But the rest of the world is up at awareness. That's where a lot of us sit at, and that's okay. So let's just walk through someone's process, if you will, of how they get down to actually being a customer and how we can keep that customer. All right. So let's think about a pair of shoes. This is an example that I use because it's real life for me. So just don't judge me. You're on social media scrolling through your feed, and you see this really beautiful, cool pair of shoes, but it's with a brand that you have no clue about. It's a brand you're not familiar with. So you may like the post because you like the shoes, but you're not going to buy the shoes because you don't know anything about this brand. And you keep scrolling and living your best life, right? Well, then a few days later, and maybe every day after that, you see this brand pop up, and maybe now it's a nice little purse that they've got going on. You're like, oh, I like that purse too. I like that purse, yeah. Keep living your best life. Over time, and this can be it depends. It can be really soon or not so soon, but because you're continuing to engage with this brand, even though you've never heard of them, you're liking the product that you're seeing, they're going to serve you that content more often. And so you're going to see more and more of that brand. And as you see more and more of that brand, you either engage and like those posts, or you don't engage. So once you start engaging even more, you're going to see even more. And you probably are thinking in your head, yeah, that's totally happened to me, right? So eventually you're going to scroll or have a need. This usually is what happens to me. This is again, a real life scenario. It's like, oh, I have a wedding coming up, and those shoes would be perfect for the dress I'm wearing. And you remember those shoes, you've already continued to, now you're aware of this brand, you like their products, you're kind of like a little more soft, you're not like, oh no, I don't like you. No, now I'm like, okay, yeah, you've got some cool style, you got nice handbags, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I would consider purchasing from your business. I like what I'm seeing. I've read maybe a few things. Maybe I've visited your website, didn't take action, but I like what you're doing. But now I have a real need. Now I have a wedding to go to and I need a new pair of shoes, dang it. So now the next time I see your ad, I might actually, because if I'm really already like, I need those shoes and that need is strong enough, I might just go ahead and be like, yep, I'm going to buy those shoes. Done. In my cart, purchased, we're good. There's another step, however, in between consideration and conversion called, you can't see my writing, but it's interest. This you might want to write in your notes because this is not on your graphic. Interest though. So even though I've had this great experience with you online so far, and even though I've moved on to consideration, maybe that wedding isn't until like 6 months from now. And so like the need for the shoes right now is not that dire, but I've thought about you. I still see all those ads. Maybe those shoes are still popping up in my feed. So I moved to interest, which is one level closer than consideration. And then eventually interest will turn into conversion. In this scenario, it can turn into conversion. Once you see those shoes enough, the need comes up. I think of other reasons or ways that I can wear these shoes and get more. I'm all about a cost per wear, honey. So like I'm like, yeah, I can wear those to work. I can wear them to church. I have another wedding that I know is coming up next year, or maybe it's, whatever, another event. An event actually is another probable cause to getting new shoes. So I've rationed out now, interest goes to conversion. Then of course, when you purchase something from someone, you most likely are put on some sort of email list or retargeting ad for sure. Like there's always ways that these brands will now target you and reach out to you again. Email marketing, email campaign. So retention is now back at them. So they can send you something, again, whether it's an ad or whether it's just content you see in the feed, whether it's an email marketing piece. Sometimes they still mail things and mail things to you like, hey, I noticed you purchased this. Because you purchased that, you will like this. They've also got smart algorithms in their systems. And you now are in this retention bubble for them. You are so past awareness now, right? So thinking about your own business and maybe a service-based business, like no one knows, we'll pick on Lady B, right? So Lady B we just did a rebrand, a while back now, but we are like, we're still offering the same thing. So it's like, we need to recreate some new awareness around our new focus. Our focus is serving women in business. Our focus is around anybody can be a Lady B. Anybody can embody a Lady B. It's about having characteristics that fit and support women in business. So being a cheerleader, maybe joining and being one of our ambassadors, a woman of integrity, and bees pollinate to help things to grow. So that's really not all of that, but the pieces, the base of how you can be one of the Lady Bees with us, right? But until I tell you these things, you don't know. So we're still all at awareness, right? What is it to be a Lady Bee? What is it that you do? Well, we serve women in business. How do you serve women in business? Oh, we give them marketing tips and strategies and tools to help them really excel, because we focus on small businesses, MLMs, and businesses that don't have a marketing person on their team. We support them with giving these strategies and tools so they can learn and take it on their own and go do it and implement it in their business. Yeah, awesome. You're all here. I'm so pumped for you, by the way. So if you're like, well, I need that. Like, I need help and strategies. I would love help for my social media and email campaigns and all the things that I do. Oh, cool. Consideration, eh? So there we go. And you see where I'm going with this. So consideration, after I've emailed with you or talked with you, or you've seen some social media content from me, you're like, wow, yeah, I really need that help. I really need that webinar about how to stand on social media and stay there, man. Like, I really need that. Cool. Conversion. We got you, right? Because we're going to serve and help you. That's our only purpose. And if you're not quite there yet, consideration, maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you're talking to a friend about it. That you're at interest right over there. And your friend's like, hey, honey, you have been trying to help do your social media on your own for so long. Go get the help you need. It is affordable. Like, just go do it. All right. conversion, right? Some of us always need a little bit of persuasion from our friends over there. And then it's up to me again to retain you. It's up to me to continue to serve you and give you content that is relevant to what your pain is. And if not, that's all we do. But if it is, if I am really helping and serving you, you'll stay and you'll continue to buy other courses and other things from me to help and build your business from a marketing perspective. Does that all make sense? I'm hoping it does, because this is a lot of people, again, when they go right to conversion for their social media content, and that's all they're posting about, their audience does not want that. It does not work. And that's how we're not going to stand out by doing that, first of all. And second of all, our audience is smart. They know better, but they're being sold to. But even bigger than that is social media. Facebook specifically was developed to build relationships. This going to conversion content and copy and just sell, promo, it doesn't do any of that. And we need to step into that. So now the second part is we're going to cover the B social pillars. We're going to cover, okay, well, if I can't sell do all my products and services, what the heck do I post on social media? Let me erase this and we'll draw that out too. This is, like I said, by far one of my most favorite things to do with people. And even though you're not with me right now, I feel like you are. And I feel like we could really, really do some cool things together. But we do red this time because I'm not right. It's girly color. I just like red. Anyway, I'm so glad that we're doing this together. All right. So B social pillars, basically, and you have a beautiful, way more pretty sheet than I'm going to draw. So I'm just going to preface, I was never good at art, never have been good at art. My mother is a beautiful artist. When in her youth, I never was. I did not get that from her. So I'm going to draw a really kind of wonky one up here, but the whole point is that I'm going to see if you can get the whole thing in. Maybe not. Can we? Maybe. Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I need all the space I can get for this one. All right. So when it comes to social media content and development, we've got 5 pillars, and you can add more. 5 is just kind of the great magic number that I've been using for the several years. Sometimes, it's been 5, let's be honest. Sometimes those main 5 change, and so we'll walk through that a little bit too. But 5 kind of themes, if you will, or topics that really define your brand. So you've got, it's your brand personality, right? So your brand personality are supposed to be things that embody you and embody your interests. There's a trainer I listen to every week, and she has said several times, and I've followed her now for 3 years in her mastermind group, but she was like, if I only had to write about what I did for a living on social media, she's like, I would have quit years ago. Like, she gets to, we bring in our other pieces of our own personality into our business, but we create it into our brand personality. So you may have noticed, like even on my pages, there's kiddos and there's family, or there's maybe a smoothie that I'm drinking or a book that I'm reading. Those are all part of my pillars. So what I want you to do is, you've got your brand personality here. There's the 5 pillars that we have on our sheet. And within those pillars, we create our topic. So one of them can be family. And I should start with only one of them is actually your product or service. Or is about your business, I should say. So anything. And then what I do with those lines is I write down like any promotions that I'm having going on, or any courses that I'm promoting or marketing to, or any assets, free marketing assets that I've got going on, all that stuff. And these things can change and you can add to them. Like, these are not like a set in stone thing, but this is just to be like, okay, what's under my business right now? These are the top 5 things or 6 things, and this list can be endless. This list I've had forever. But so take your sheet and write it as you need to, but know that you can change it all around all the time. And this asset also is free on my website right now. So if you write the one you have all up and you're like, well, I want to redo it, just go download and print it off again. You're fine. So business is always one of the five. So you have four other like subject matters, topics to talk about for your business. I will caution to make sure that they do align a little bit with your business, but they don't have to be like imperfect. Like family, we have faith, and we have personal development. So this is like books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, any inspirational quotes you would want to add into this mix. There's all kinds of things like that you could do. Sometimes even quote graphics. Let's see, what's another one of mine? Health and wellness is another one of mine. So it could be recipes that you prepared. The smoothies are a lot of what I do. It could be like I ran a half marathon, so I brought a little bit of that into the mix. What else for health and wellness? I had like a whole bunch. Where's my cheat sheet? My book's over there. But a whole bunch in there too. Like even like health and wellness books is another thing too that I read. Or I'm trying to work on, going live is one of the things that I'm going to talk about here shortly too. But my son is an avid chef, like amazing chef. And I've always been bugging him about going live with me in the kitchen. So I'm going to try to do that. But that would fall under health and wellness and a little bit of family too. Travel is another one that we used to do. But again, it can be anything. It can be just anything that is, it could be coffee. It could be just coffee. You could build a whole storyline about coffee. Heck, a couple years ago, I had one all about shoes, which is why my example to you earlier now was completely fitting for me. Shoes. I used to be known to have all these like really crazy fun heels. And I would shoot pictures of me wearing heels in the middle of the winter because that's my jam. And that was me and who I do. Now I don't do that as much anymore because I'm nervous about slipping and falling. But in my youth, I was much more daring. But you can see kind of how you place these overall kind of bigger themes or even subjects or topics that really fit you. I actually had one that I was toying around with doing interior design because I love that kind of thing. So anything that kind of just goes with you as a person, because you're more likely to post on social media when the content that you're posting is fun and it's easy to go get, it's just fun. Taking a shot of your coffee and tell them a little Monday motivation. That is fun. Giving your people something to just, like I did a midday motivation, and you never know like who's going to have midday motivation. All of a sudden, boom, we got some people who really appreciated that. So I think nothing's ever off the table. And you test your audience to see what they like, but nothing's ever off the table until you actually post it and get the result, or see what the result is, I should say. So within each of these actual topics, then you would start to write down. So yeah, books, training. I don't want to talk away from you. Training, podcasts. And this is the messiest I've ever written, so I'm going to not put you through that. But you get the drift. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. Every single one of these would have that kind of sub-heading or subcategory to underneath it, subtopic. And then after you've written at least 5 each, but as many as you can, this becomes like your holy grail of social media content, right? So I would even if you have one, so for your business, it doesn't have to be just products and services and all those things. It can be your why story. It can be, which is great segue into this, by the way. If you have been one of those businesses that is only talking about business and not about really anything else, like that's the only time you post, I would really encourage you to, when you kind of bring this plan into action on social, that you open with your why story. It's a great way to bring people into you. And because one of the questions I had, which I thought was brilliant and great question, was, well, how do you start with all this content? Like, I've been only posting about my business for so long. How do you start? And I said, well, just start. And like your audience will see that there's a change there in your content, and they'll come with you. They'll follow you especially if they like it. But then I thought through it a little bit further, and I was like, but your why story is a really good like segue kind of, or transition, if you will, post into this more personal brand personality style post than where you had been before. So I really, really do encourage you to think through your why, and adding some more business posts about why you got started, what motivates you to get up and continue to do it every day, what were some of your biggest business challenges to date so far, what are some of your failures, what are some of your successes. Like those are all still fall under business. And so don't think it just has to be about promotional stuff, because people will connect with you knowing, and you'll be human, knowing that you've had failures in your business in the past, but how you recovered from those and what you did, how you pivoted, how you shifted, those are all like inspirational stories that another entrepreneur would want to hear, or just someone who already likes you or has awareness of you might move into consideration, because they're like, wow, that's a really touching, awesome story. Like I like them as a human. Like that's just really noble, or really good, or really strong, whatever those, things are, whatever that is shared. So don't hesitate from sharing those. And I think you'd be pleasantly surprised to know that a lot of that content gets resonated by your audience so much more than what you realize. I've had people even comment to me in person about things they saw on my social media that they didn't comment or even like the post on the page, but I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I think, again, your impact goes beyond just your social page. Your people who see that don't react, that you're still making impact for. So just know that those stories are powerful for anyone in business and entrepreneurs for sure. So that is the Be Social pillar exercise. Again, I encourage you to take some time after this and finish it. And I do encourage you to go to my website, download it again if you need to, if things change. Quick example, when I opened up my business way back, like 2014, I was Pulse Marketing actually. And I was offering services in the event planning space and photography and social media and like all things marketing. And I kind of casted this massively wide net as a one-man show trying to see, or one-woman show trying to see what would stick. And it, after learning a few lessons, I would never do that again. But so, at the time I had event planning and photography and other services in here that I quickly removed from my business and my brand. So if you're still new, or you're still in the state of you're maybe shifting some things, then feel free to download that document and do it again. Some of it may stay the same, but some of it might change. And if it changes, you'll at least be ready and prepared to make that pivot within your content. And also your audience will probably shift as well. So keep all those things in mind as you're doing that. But we are going to talk now. So we've kind of covered like where we're at. We've uncovered the kind of what to post on social to kick the algorithm's booty, right? Now we're going to talk about how to organize it and that good stuff. So let me. Okay, so we'll go back to blue because why not? Fun stuff, fun colors. This one's going to be a little bit harder to share on the whiteboard, but again, in the asset library, or in the assets that for this course, there is a social media calendar. So when I'll write calendar, I won't be that lazy. So now that we know what to post, what content to post, now it's time to put it all together, right? And the way we do that here at Lady B is we actually have a content or social media content calendar. And it keeps us in check for our consistency, but also for our topics. So the very first thing I do when I build a social media calendar out, whether it's for me or a client, is topic. So the first column is actually the date, and then it's topic, right? So I do this because, first of all, just to like launch into writing content is like, oh my gosh, so daunting. I'm like scared. I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it. This makes it a little bit more bearable. It is an easy way to just kind of get through the whole, I do month, but I have a lot of clients that do it by week because more digestible, you do you. You could always go in and tweak it. If you build it out for a month and change it, I just like having it done and consistently done. And I've done this forever. So it's, for me, that's easy, but for others, I know that that's a challenge. So let's see here. So first of all, topic, that's where your B pillar, that document would come in. So it's your business, it's your faith, it's your family, it's your health and wellness. It's all those big ones, travel, coffee, all the big ones that we talked about. That's what would go here in that column. And what I do when I'm done typing them all in, like, of course, I'll go in and I'll look, I do business first just because I want to make sure, okay, if I have anything that I want to, like, let's say, for example, a newsletter opt-in offer. I changed my newsletter opt-in offer to hopefully engage more people to sign up for my newsletter. So I knew that I was going to have that done and ready to launch on the website by this date. And now I want to be able to push that out via social to get people to sign up. So that was a big, big deal for me. And that's one of the things that I did for business that month. But then there's also all the other ones. So it helps you create some sort of cohesive, I'm not talking all about business. I'm not talking about all health and wellness. I'm not talking about all these main things and like a bunch, but kind of spreads them all out very nicely. So that's what this does. So at a glance, you'd be like, okay, every day this week, I've talked about something that's not the same. Perfect. Okay, cool. And on to the next thing. Then I do platform. So some of this content, and a lot of it, some of you might be on multiple social media platforms. I primarily post to Facebook and Instagram. I have some LinkedIn stuff. LinkedIn's never really converted anything for me, anyone for me. I'm not done with it by any means, but Facebook and Instagram are just where my people are at. So this is where I would, not every post, however, goes to Instagram. Every post goes to Facebook. It's my biggest audience, so that's the one we engage with the most. But I'm also in the process of engaging further with my Instagram audience. But that for me is going to come more off the cuff right now. I'm going to do just, it's not going to be so like planned. But it's a little planned through my content from social or from Facebook. So again, you got to kind of do what you want to do as far as what makes sense. Platform is just another spot in there. If you're only on Facebook or if you're new to social media and consistently doing social media, I would pick one platform to start with, and Facebook and Instagram tend to be one of the two that people start with the most, and then bring in another one after you've sustained this for a while, built some people up, bring another one like that. My goal, and the reason I say off the cuff for Instagram, is to not make them mirrored from each other. I know a lot of people do that. I do it too. And it does work-ish, but that's why I say off the cuff for Instagram, because I want Instagram to have content on there that's not on Facebook and give my Facebook audience a reason to want to follow me on Instagram too. So, and same with LinkedIn, honestly. LinkedIn is a whole other demographic of people, and maybe that's where your people are at. Maybe they're not. Mine tend to not be so much on LinkedIn, but if they are on LinkedIn, but they also follow you on Facebook and everything's the exact same content, like there's no reason to follow you on both. So my goal is just make Instagram a little bit more engaging, more fun, playful, and Facebook just somewhat fun and playful, but still more buttoned up a little bit, for me at least, as buttoned up as I can get. So that's that one. All right, third is the actual content or copy. So once you've got the topic there, you've got the platform that you're going to be posting it on developed, then we get into getting into writing the copy for the piece. So this is where you would spend probably a majority of your time crafting these messages around these subject matters, around the topic, to put in this particular part of the plan. And do note that there's a lot of times I'll write the copy or we'll even write most of it, or just know that I'm going to tweak it still a little bit. If it's not all what I want it to be, that's okay. This isn't like it has to be perfect. Use this tool as you need to use it, but I'm just sharing how I use it. Mostly I finish it, I'll be honest, but then every time before I post, I will still read it and be like, oh, what was I thinking? I don't know if I like it that way, and I can change it. Obviously, you have the power to change it too, whenever you post it for real life. So that's a good thing to know there. But this is, again, where we spend a lot of time really crafting, thinking through. I would at least spend a couple hours on this when you do it. Like a lot of my clients, like I said earlier, a lot of them, what they'll do is they'll go ahead and do every Monday morning or Sunday night, usually around one of those times, for 30 minutes or a full hour, they'll sit down and they will craft this whole plan for 1 week, because it's very digestible. It's very easy for them to do 1 week. It's very easy for them to look at the month and know that this week they need to be speaking to these topics within their brain personality. And it just is like I said, just easier than trying to sit and look at a full empty spreadsheet for a full month. I totally get it. And I think that will work for more people than anything else, than doing the month. So do that if you need to. You can always work yourself up to a month if you have the time, or you just get excited. Sometimes if you get on a roll, you're like, yeah, I can offer more. This is good. But that is where the copy and the love happens there too, because between the copy and then our number 4 one, which is our creative, takes the most time. Creative is actually pretty darn key, because we think about the copy that we're writing and having that be engaging and something that people will want to be like, read and be like, yes, I want that now. I need that now. Or yes, she totally gets me. Like, oh my gosh, I have had those thoughts in my head for weeks. Oh my gosh, thank you for understanding my point of view or my thoughts, my headspace. You are awesome. Connection to audience, by the way. Creative helps them to stop or slow down even a little bit. Stop for sure, but stop can be your hook on your copy. But the creative will help them hopefully slow down so they'll read that darn hook. So looking for, appealing and attractive photos, or having a photo shoot of your own, which I know isn't for, like, everyone can't do that, but there's a lot of really beautiful stock photography sites that you can look into. And doing live video, doing the video that's raw, real, and whatever, like in one take, you're gonna have a whole webinar done, right? Whole class done. And there's my cat jumping on the table, and pushing papers off. Like, that's real life, and we're just gonna keep on rolling. So creative is really, really important too. This is where Facebook Live comes into play. And so for those of you who have followed me, you know that it's like, because I've shared it probably more times than maybe every time, that it's really freaky for me. But for some reason, I just have this mental block for Facebook Live. When I get going, I'm okay. But right before it, I have a freaking panic attack. It's ridiculous, but it's doing it. So doing Facebook Live would be huge. When we talk about algorithms and beating those algorithms, that is one thing that Facebook will still serve up to your audiences. Facebook Live is still the number 1 most engaged with creative, but also Facebook gives it a little bit of boost too when you go live. They like when you go live on their platform. But again, other videos you record on your phone and share are options too. Stock photos that we can find. There's some free stock photo sites that I can share with you as well. There's a couple that you can pay for and be a part of, but they have really pretty pictures. That's one of the ones I use. And just any graphics you would have developed or anything like that kind of just goes alongside your content. I would say one more thing to be aware, though, when you do graphics or things of that nature, Facebook doesn't like copy on it, like text. So make sure that you are just using an image that really goes with your message and not have to write too much on it, because it will not get served up as much when there's copy on it. It's just how they are. It's an 80-20 rule that they have. And it's just, they've had it forever. This is one they've had forever. So you guys may know about this, but anyway, creative is important. One thing to also know on creative before we move on is that when you do use a free stock photo site, I know the ones I use, they have pictures that are so beautiful, but so not my market. I couldn't put a house or a kitchen or whatever for a client that I found this stock photo site. I mean, it would just be a complete miss. So just be cognizant of what your message is, who your audience is, what your market is, and just be careful and just be aware of what creative you're bringing into that to connect them with that, so you don't create a disconnection, basically. So that's my final comment there. And then lastly, I'm not gonna write it up there because you can't see it, but it'll be when you post it, the time of day that you post it. And this is really important too, because the time of day you post your content will, like, to be engaged with, does make a difference. If you go back and look at your insights, you'll have a little bit more information on what time of day your audience is on social and what time is the most feasible for seeing the most. But it is still trial and error for sure. I know from probably a couple of years now, or not now, but before, by far my top performing posts that I would send out were about 9 o'clock on most days, like most evenings, 9 o'clock at night. And I attributed that to being my work. I was talking to a different audience at that time, actually, but that audience was business owners, male and female, small business owners, had a small team, maybe a bigger team, like 20 plus people, but most of them had between 5 and 25 people. And again, we're both genders and all kinds of things that are different than now. So they were active at night. They were staying up their next day. They were probably sitting down for maybe the first time all day. Maybe some of them were just getting home from running kids and doing all the things. And now, what ended up happening is I was posting content around, I launched Lady Bee, which is a business focused on women, and it's a whole different like girl power mantra to it. Women supporting women, just hey girl talk and all the things, because hopefully you're following. But it's not that audience for sure anymore. And my time changed. I was getting completely no traction on my posts when I would put them out at 9. Finally took the time to go back and look at my insights. My peak time was 7 p.m. I never would have thought 7 p.m. So I changed it and boom, all of it went back up again. It was so cool. But it was one of those things where make sure you check your insights consistently, because sometimes things change, but times change as far as like when you post it, test it, make sure that you're getting in your morning audience, your evening audience, put some things in between. You can be more strategic if you're posting multiple times a day on when you post. Maybe content that isn't going to perform as well, but it's important that you want to share that, like a quote graphic or something that's just kind of simple or just easy to serve your audience. Maybe like a song or a podcast you're listening to. Those are the kinds of things that I would post more during the day. Maybe like a midweek motivation, but not the biggest post that I want everyone to make sure they see, because I know my audience isn't watching for me to be posting that good stuff. It's either first thing in the morning or later in the evening that I post the most critical component. So I hope that helps you. And then of course you get to schedule it all on Facebook if you want to. And if you have a tool that you use like a Hootsuite or Sprout Social, you can schedule on Instagram as well and other platforms too. But most of us are just kind of operating as our own schedulers. So of course, social media is always changing, and maybe there'll be some ways to schedule within the tools in the future, but that is how that works. So you can set it up week by week, month by month, but the calendar is there to help you organize it. So, a lot of information coming at you, but reminder, you have this recording to listen to again, and you've got all these assets in your hands to be able to do them when you can, how often you want to. And honestly, I know that there's just so much that your business can do, and I'm hoping that this training really helped you do that. So let's kind of go through them one last time before I cut you loose. The first one was understanding where you are at. Where you are at is so, so critical. And again, knowing that you're still probably at awareness like I am, maybe have a few people in consideration, but nurturing your audience and speaking to those, basically that cycle, that sales cycle. Where are they at in your sales cycle? And nurturing and writing content to move them down closer to that conversion. The second thing was your B social pillars, what to post on social. I hope you have no more issues with that whatsoever. We created the brand personality. And not only is it like just around your services, but it's also around how you're doing what you're doing. What gets you up in the morning? What motivates you? Maybe you have parts where your children and your kiddos are helping you in the business and you're like, yes, look at my little girl helping me today at a photo shoot. Yes, I have done that. And yes, that's my cat. It is so, so important. And then to build 4 other pillars, strong pillars around your business that really excite you and bring people closer to you. Have you love on them a little bit, give you some influence, share maybe some tips and tricks in those areas. And I say tips and tricks, like even just running the half marathon. People were like, how did you train? What program did you use? What were you putting into your body? What shoes did you wear? And I was like, could do a whole training around just that. That's fabulous. Like I could walk people through the success of that. That's awesome, right? So those are all kinds of things that can bring us into you and your business and really, really allow us to connect with you on a whole level that maybe right now, and probably right now, we're not able to connect with because you're not sharing those things. But we want to know those. We want to know those a lot. And then last, but certainly not least, is how to organize all of those great components and content pieces about your business and about you into an organized calendar that really is set up to produce consistent social media content for you, because our business is always going to have something to promote. There's always going to be something changing in the health and wellness space, always a book I'll be reading, always a podcast I've been listening to, or a new recipe I'll be trying, all of that stuff. So please note, this is an evergreen approach. You're going to continue to have content and redevelop this content because this is just a pillar. There's so much within it that can help you grow your content and then grow your audience and connect with them more. And then of course you have a way to organize that ongoing. And I really encourage you to do it every single week, to keep it consistent. And I encourage you to set goals for yourself. To start with 1 post a day might be too much if you're not doing anything right now. So do 3 to 4 posts a week and choose what days those are. Choose 3 weekdays and 1 weekend. And then do that for a month or maybe 2 months. And then when you feel ready to consistently do a post a day, then you do 7 posts a week and you execute that. And you do that for a month or 2. And then maybe you will feel more confident to moving it to a post or 2 posts every weekday and 1 every weekend day. And then you build that out. The plan is flexible. You don't have to, you can build out the calendar, add a row, do whatever, take away a row, do whatever you need to do to make that calendar work for you. It's yours to edit and change and whatever else once you download it. So I really, really encourage you to think of all these things through that lens and to really help move your business forward and to really take these into practice. So that is a wrap for you all. I'm so happy you are here today. It is such a pleasure to serve you. It is such an honor to be here and to be with you and to, I don't know, just I'm happy you showed up for you today too, by the way. Like I want you to also feel proud of yourself for showing up and for doing this training. And I know you're going to do it again. I would do it again because it's not because it's that good, but because the content is so, like, I want to hear it. I love to digest and hear things over and over and over again. Not necessarily watch me, but to hear it. So I hope you do that. I hope you find this beneficial, and I just honor you for showing up. And I am so happy that you chose me to help you out with this. So I will hopefully see you on social. Hook me up on ladybco.com. Check out the other courses that are to come or that are presently there. And we will see you very, very soon. Bye.